Welcome to the Rustic Garden Homestead. I actually have two YouTube channels. This one, my first vegetable garden, and my main one, the Rustic Garden Homestead. I haven't done a tour video and put it on this channel, so I thought I would just start with that, and we'll take a whole tour of my garden. Out in the front, I have onions in these raised beds. These are all growing in shredded hardwood, aged shredded hardwood. That's the key. Leeks back there, garlic, and then some more leeks and onions over there. This is a video I did on my other channel on how you could create a dig once bed at zero cost and get to planting. We can move along here, come in through the east gate. It's just about May, so I have a lot of cool weather crops. In the next week to 2 weeks, I'm going to be getting in all my warm weather plants. This is one area. These all have open bottoms. You can buy the metal beds, and they're used as raised beds. Garlic, peas, broccoli. Back in here, I seed started, direct seeding. Beets, some carrots, peas, that's cilantro over there. Cilantro is actually, we kind of think of it as a warm weather crop because it's associated with Mexican food, but it's a cool weather crop. It likes growing in the cool weather. It doesn't have to be, planted when it's warm. In fact, it can take a frost, it can overwinter, and it comes back really strong. Some extra plants I just tucked in, mustard greens, and those are two kinds of kale. I have lots of trellising set up for growing vertically. I just planted actually ginger down right in the center of this container, and then I just dropped my green beans into that area where it'll be 3 10-foot poles, 12-foot poles TPing off at the top, and I'll grow my green beans up there. Let's go right down the left side. Those are Brussels sprouts in there. That is horse manure all the way across the top, 2 years, well composted, won't have any issue. This is purple asparagus, and it's my second year bed, so I may harvest some of the smaller spears, but second year you really want it to grow, let the root system establish, and I have 25 groupings in here that came up, so I think I only lost a couple, which is pretty cool. Now there's more purple than green. The green didn't do as well. There's a couple green right in there. And when I planted them as roots, first year roots last year, the greens didn't pop up. I had extra purple, I put in more purple. I really wanted to rotate it, purple, green, purple, green, purple, green. But for whatever reason, the green didn't take hold. But anyway, tons of asparagus. Next year, I'll be eating it for a good 4 to 6 weeks. This is kohlrabi, the smaller plants to the left. That's, I think, maybe Conan, a giant green variety. That is purple Vienna, and that is broccoli in the back there. And that bed's doing really well. That's all being grown in shredded hardwood. Hardwood that sat for 6 months, you can't just buy fresh shredded hardwood and grow in it. You'll have some problems. But if you let it age, you can grow in it. It's the cheapest way to fill your raised beds. These are sunken containers. Every other plant, well, that's not planted now, will be my pepper plants. Last year I had these all filled with different kinds of peppers. It was too many peppers, I couldn't eat them. So now I have my kale in between, so it'll be a kale, a pepper, a kale, a pepper, all the way down. Now this is another bed with the shredded hardwood. The shredded hardwood over here on the right was aged. It sat through the winter actually because I didn't use it all. And you can see how well the plants are doing. This was fresh. Tried to rush it in, 30 days old, didn't age, and these plants actually were put in at the same time as the plants over here, and you can just see how well those took off. And these are still struggling because if the shredded hardwood is too fresh, it competes for the nitrogen, and that's what's happening. The nitrogen's going to decaying the wood, it's not going to the plants. Let's keep walking down, and you can see just tons of asparagus. And if you didn't know, asparagus continues to grow and grow into a big stalk, and then it ferns out into these really fine leaves. This is my bug hotel, a couple of containers of different herbs, hoping to attract beneficial insects in there. Just built this during this period, or during this spring. 2x6 raised beds filled with alternating shredded hardwood and fresh horse manure, or not fresh horse manure, 2 years aged horse manure. You never want to use fresh manures because again they're not fully composted down and they will take nitrogen from your plants. Coming over here we have my blackberries, my blueberry section. We'll get there in a second as you go back down this way and then back up. Cattle panel is in. I'll be growing cherry tomatoes up there, real real. Of course they're real tomatoes. 8-ounce tomatoes, larger ones, and cucumbers, so that you can actually kind of just walk right through here, pick tomatoes, pick cucumbers, and make a tomato cucumber salad by the time you come out the end of the tunnel here. Different beds have been set up with the 2-year-old manure mixed over into the top 4-6 inches, and I'm just waiting for it to get a little bit warmer, and it's all going to be filled up with tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchini, squash, tomatoes, peppers, all my warm weather crops. Lots of different trellising because I want to grow vertically, and I really increase production here easily by 30%, if not 50%, because I'm growing straight up. So as I grow cucumbers up through here, they hang down, I can pick them, or I can grow beans up this way. You can even grow some different zucchini and squash depending on how they grow. That's rabbit protection. Rabbits won't dig under that. They're kind of skittish, so that keeps them away. All kinds of different beets growing in there. Cool weather crops, the greens, more over here. Different types of cabbages. This is kale that overwintered. Some nice red lettuce coming up. Cleaned out my containers. Those are 22-gallon containers. This will be actually the third part of the video series here for the emergency garden. This is what we started as seeds about a month back, and look how well they're doing. In there are almost 144 plants because some of them didn't come up. But you can grow 144 plants in that little space there, tend to them, take care of them, move them in and out of the house, let them grow. When the frost comes, you take them inside, and then you just bring them outside and drop them in. We'll be putting them into the containers. We'll be putting them into earth beds. My radishes, they're doing extremely well. I've been harvesting out of here for the last couple of weeks. I'll go eat those. So in the 2 cells I just showed you, actually let's just do it this way. Right here, say this cell and this cell right here, that's 12 plants. That's all kale. In here are about 25 kale plants or cabbages. All right, so those 12 plants, you go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, are going to grow into something this size. This is going to double, this is going to triple. So from those 12 plants, you're going to have greens all in here that you can eat for the whole summer, which I think is pretty cool. And you have to keep in mind, when they're small, you know, you think you can tuck them in everywhere. I practiced great restraint, leaving all those beds open for my warm weather crops. Or I would have planted everything with the cool weather crops, the leafy greens, and then I'd have so many greens I couldn't give them away, I couldn't share them. Beans are all going to go in here, up the different trellising. That is the 2-year-old horse manure sitting in there, getting ready to be mixed in. I have lots of flowers planted in between. That's one flower grouping to attract pollinators. That's an apple tree. Some new beds that I built, again with the cattle panel. Not sure what I'll grow in here. Green beans, maybe cucumbers. Two of my favorite vegetables are tomatoes and cucumbers. I could eat that all year. Vertical growing, lettuces are doing really well. Just fertilize them with some fish fertilizer. And then we come up here to my fruit area. Bunch of blueberry plants. These are my second-year blueberries. Some of these I brought from my old home. Some of them are brand new, but these are from my old house. And I actually planted them, not this January, but last January, in the middle of winter. And just look how well they're doing. All those white specks are flowers. That's going to be blueberries. When you grow blueberries, you want 2 different varieties. The plants do better. The blueberries do better. They're plumper, they pollinate better, you'll get more blueberries. In these containers, these 10-gallon containers are all peas. They're brown fabric pots. I have 10 of those. Each one has about 8 to 10 pea plants. 80 to 100 pea plants. I love peas. I like using these root pouches. I do sell these at my seed shop, for the sake that I can just move them around. So I'll be moving them throughout the garden, putting them in different places so I can really maximize the space. The vines right back there run right there against the fence, and then the smaller one over there, those are hops vines. I actually got tons of hops last year. This year I am going to make the beer. Hopefully I get it to video. Some more flowers mixed in with my container area. And then my final 2 beds. Let's just go over here on the outside, show you some of my transplants. So these are flower boxes. These videos are on my other channel. These are built for $6 each. Really, really inexpensive. I have radishes started in here, lettuces, greens back there. Now these are my tomato plants that I've been growing for months, and they look a little bit beat up. It's been like 40 degrees at night. You can see the growth on there. That's not any crazy disease yet. That's just the rains, the cold, and everything just beating these up. They really need the warm weather. So rushing them outside doesn't help. They've been fed with the fish fertilizer. I'm hoping with warmer nights, warmer days, these green up, take off, and I'll get them into the garden. You can see the same, the oregano, the thyme is purpling. It's just been not freezing at night or they would be dead, but cold enough that it's affecting, you know, how they're doing. These are all my warm weather crops. For cucumbers, 3 kinds of cucumbers. There are squash in there, zucchini in there, some beans in there, winter squash in there, and this is how I like to seed start them. I could put them straight out there, but I like being able to tend everything in a small space, make sure it's okay, and then after it germinates in about 3 weeks, get them into the ground. I just prefer to do it that way. I'm not going to be planting all these, of course. I'll be giving them away, a lot of them away to friends. But this is my garden. Thought I would put a tour on this channel just so you could see how things are going and growing. Please subscribe. I'll be doing lots of videos on both channels just showing how I take care of this entire garden, really from start to finish, and we're really getting into the great time where the cool weather crops are getting large, you can eat them, and then you can start getting your warm weather crops out. Thanks so much for watching, and please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com. Thanks.